Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, Yale School of Management, Senior Associate Dean for Leadership Studies, also a CNBC contributor. Jeff, welcome. Good to see you.
Tyler, good to see you.
I think Kate kind of nailed it there. People are willing to pay a premium price for a premium experience. They seem to feel they're getting that at Chipotle under Niccol. They didn't seem to feel it quite the same way under Narasimhan at Starbucks.
I think, Tyler, not only did she nail it, you nailed it with your question to her. That was a tough, friendly but hardball question you gave her at the close, and she knocked it out of the park. She's exactly right. There's a confusion in their image is as a premier brand. But Laxman Narasimhan came in going for a value and trying to come out with ways of coming up with lower cost bundles, coming out with products that didn't match their image. These summer refresher berry drinks weren't the way to go. Protein drinks that were not the right size. These gallon sized Vante drinks that people maybe would like in smaller doses. But the big thing, as Kate said, was if you put a wraparound, there was communications. He's a very good guy, and he's used to the world of consumer products, much slower moving than the fast pace of fast food, of casual dining. And he set expectations about turnarounds that were happening on a slower, creakier schedule. He was moving into mobile, but his mobile was just for the people that are part of their frequent diner program, the rewards program. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't for everybody yet. He just was rolling that mobile option out more widely, and things were just unfortunately moving too slowly there.
More than that, Jeff, listen, there's also the aspect. He came from Pepsi, which is a culture where when you're not moving product, you discount it. Traditionally you had coupons, you used and he seems to have brought some of that ethos to Starbucks, and that's not an ethos that is successful for the Starbucks clientele that wants to feel more like that Chipotle experience. They're walking in, they're going to get a great product, they're going to get a really nice experience, the service is going to be excellent, it's going to be quick. I mean, this was he did not seem to bring what Starbucks need to be successful, and this idea of discounting and using promos to drive traffic is very at odds with the culture there.
No, that's exactly right. And Kelly, I think that you covered a very important angle, is that this discounting, not only was it not consistent with the branding, it wasn't driving traffic. And that was, again, a part of the problem. The employees weren't moving fast. He still had some union issues. He I think, accomplished great headway with the unions, but there still was some frustrations there and some awkward positioning relative to the Mideast. Brian Niccol comes in as somebody who knows the fast food business. Is not only, as Kate pointed out, did he experience the problems that Chipotle had, of course, in food safety, but at Yum Brands, his boss back then, the head of Yum Brands, was minimizing the food safety issue. They had E. coli and salmonella problems at Taco Bell. What Brian did, he went in and fixed it instead of what his boss was doing. And he wrote a book about it, his boss, called The Accidental CEO, and he bragged about stonewalling the media. Mm-hmm. What Brian said, let's fix the supply chain, and he did the same thing, of course.
So let me interrupt, and I want to get, and I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours. What is your single piece of advice for Brian Niccol as he begins this job? What does he have to concentrate on and get right?
Well, he's got to not overpromise. I think right now the scale of this business is a lot smaller than what he had. If you had 40,000 restaurants roughly for Starbucks around the world, here we have 3,500, mainly in the U.S., and only 100 international. As he wants to ramp up international, he has some experience there, but some of that experience was selling Yum off to China to de-risk China. Are they going to do the same thing here? They're not really in, So the challenges with Starbucks now in scale is he's huge. That's huge. Just a lot bigger than where he was in Chipotle. So that'll be a challenge both in scale and on international. His premium product, making that the integrity of the food, the fresh ingredients. He made a marketing plan around that. Mm-hmm. His employee morale is soaring. You wonder how much higher can he go? He's approaching 70%. That this is a fantastic place to work. That's quite a different than others in America in general, let alone in casual dining. So these are some issues, but he's been very good at training, very good with operations, and we shouldn't close without talking about what he's done in technology and innovation. At our last CEO summit, he actually showcased this incredible Chippy the robot that creates these taco chips and also carves out the avocados, and the work that a lot of the employees didn't want to do. It's expensive, and they didn't enjoy it. It's he standardizes the product, and that helps them scale a lot.
Kelly and I want Chippy the robot in our homes.